Hi, I'm Karen. Welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'm going to be talking about imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome is something that I have come across a lot, not only in my practice, but also in my own life. First of all, I'm going to talk about what imposter syndrome is. Signs of imposter syndrome so that you can identify it in yourself. And then I'm going to suggest 7 strategies that you can use to combat imposter syndrome in your own life. Everyone's heard the saying, fake it until you make it. But what happens if you've made it and you still feel like you're faking it? Approximately 70% of people suffer from imposter syndrome at one point or another during their lives. So it's really common, but it is extremely and surprisingly high when it comes to senior level executives, managers, or owners of businesses, probably YouTubers. In these instances, it can be present in almost all of the people holding these kinds of positions. Women seem to suffer from imposter syndrome more than men, but men absolutely have imposter syndrome also. Basically, imposter syndrome is a particularly malignant form of self-doubt, where even though you have achieved some kind of success in your career path or your life journey, you feel like a fraud. You feel like you're a fake. You don't think that you got your position because of your personal attributes, your hard work, or your skill. You think that you got your position because of a fluke, because of fate, because of luck, because of being in the right place at the right time. And because of that, you feel like a complete fraud. There are lots of signs of imposter syndrome. Firstly, you feel like you don't belong. You feel like you don't deserve the success that you have achieved. You feel isolated and alone. You fear making mistakes. And because of that, you can be really perfectionist. You fear being exposed. You think that everybody or most people are smarter and more capable and more competent than you are. You avoid feedback because you're afraid that it might confirm what you already believe about yourself. If you struggle to achieve anything, or if you struggle to accomplish something, you immediately think it's because you're some kind of failure and that you're not able to learn these things as fast as other people can. You push yourself harder than everybody else because you're trying to prove deep down that you deserve your position or that you're worth it somehow. You struggle to acknowledge your own accomplishments and your own achievements. In fact, you downplay and minimize them. And most of all, you have no joy in what you've achieved. Your self-image is characterized by self-doubt and by fear. Fear of being exposed as the fake that you believe that you are. In some ways, imposter syndrome can be, weirdly, a big driver of your success. When you're trying so hard just to keep up, just to not be found out, it can actually make you more successful. And often you'll put off your happiness to some distant point in the future. So, for example, maybe you tell yourself, I'll feel like I deserve it if I complete this other course, or when I'm promoted, or when I get a really, really good bonus, then I'll believe that I really deserve my position, or I'll finally feel happy. But the thing is, of course, you never get there. On the other hand, you keep pushing yourself and you keep working really hard in an attempt to find that place of self-security. And in that way, you're actually stuck in a vicious cycle. Because, of course, no matter how hard you work, no matter how many accolades you get, no matter how many big bonuses, you never feel like you deserve them, because that is what you truly believe in your core self. Imposter syndrome usually comes about because of things that happened in your childhood. Pretty much everything in our identity comes about because of things that happened in our childhood. It's a combination of our personality and our disposition and our experiences. And these together make up our identity and how we see ourselves and how we see our place in the world, particularly when we're young and these things are still very much developing. At an early age, we learn to put on a public face it's not a mask exactly. It's more like a part of ourselves that we show to the world because we know that that part is expected of us by others and that it's acceptable to others. Basically, we give the people what they want, and we are rewarded when we give the people what they want. The problem is that the split between the public self and our shadow self, the part of ourselves that we don't show the world, the part of ourselves that we keep hidden, can become large. And when there is a strong split between the way we see ourselves on the inside and the public face that we show on the outside, we don't feel authentic. We're not living our lives in an authentic way because we're presenting a part of ourselves to the world that is different to our inner reality. And this causes all kinds of stress. And one of the stresses presents as imposter syndrome. If you feel that you identify with imposter syndrome, if you experience the signs that I talked about earlier, then here are 7 strategies that you can use to combat imposter syndrome and to live your life with a lot more authenticity and a lot more satisfaction and purpose, because imposter syndrome holds you back. You're so busy doubting yourself. You're so busy stressing and covering up and trying to avoid being exposed that you cannot take joy. You cannot fully engage in what you're doing and with the people that you're working with because you're hiding a part of yourself. When you let that go, you can really unleash your potential. So here are the 7 strategies. Strategy number 1 is to acknowledge your own inner critic. Begin to become aware of what you are saying to yourself and when you're saying it and how you're saying it. Self-awareness and becoming aware of your inner critic is the first step, and it is so important. Just realizing the way that you talk to yourself can help you to begin to change it. Strategy number 2 is express gratitude. Expressing gratitude on a daily basis has been proven time and again to make a measurable difference in the happiness and overall well-being of people who participated in studies on this. So go ahead, start a gratitude journal. Write in it every day. Write down 3 new things every day that you can feel grateful about. That's really good for you because it gets your mind scanning towards things that are happening in your life that you can be grateful for, because, you've got to come up with 3 new ones every day. So it helps you to focus. Strategy number 3 is to own your mistakes. Stop acting like every single little mistake is the end of the world. Remind yourself that to err is human. Start to change how you think about your mistakes and how you talk to yourself about your mistakes. Own them, and you can own up to others about them also. Strategy number 4 is to compare yourself differently. Instead of constantly doing that social comparison thing, when you look at other people and you think he or she or they have got it all together and I can never be like that. Absolutely, you cannot be like that. Evaluate yourself differently. Evaluate yourself according to your individual strengths and weaknesses. You can only be you. You cannot be anyone else. Strategy number 5 is open your mind. Embrace new experiences. Learn different things. The best way to open your mind is by using strategy number 6. Seek feedback. Ideally, get a coach or a mentor or a therapist, because seeking feedback from somebody who is non-judgmental but also neutral and can give you honest feedback will make a huge difference to you. Research shows that the huge majority of senior level executives, managers, and industry leaders do not have the psychological support that they actually need in order to flourish in their roles. When you're at a junior level, you're offered a fair amount of support and coaching and mentoring and this kind of thing because you're a junior. But as you progress in your field, you tend to get less and less of that being offered to you. So you need to go and seek it out for yourself. Strategy number 7 is the strategy that I used. And for me, it was life-changing. And that is embrace your vulnerability. Embrace your fear. understand that everybody feels vulnerable. Everybody carries shame. I'm not suggesting that you start expressing this to every single person in your organization, but with specific trusted people and with the help of your coach or your mentor or your psychologist, find ways to begin to express and embrace your vulnerability, show who you really are. I have certainly experienced imposter syndrome. When I was at university, that sparked my imposter syndrome. I was constantly haunted by the feeling that I did not belong, that I was a fraud, and that I would be exposed as a fake. All the normal signs of imposter syndrome, I had them. I didn't really talk to anyone about it. Part of group therapy training, we all had to bring something personal to the group. And I decided to expose my shame and vulnerability around the fact that I felt like I had gotten into clinical training by fluke, that I did not deserve my place on the program. This is long ago, in the days way before Brené Brown and her seminal TED Talk on shame and vulnerability. I cried a lot of tears when I told them about how I felt and how I had been feeling. But doing so set me free. I had exposed my fear of being exposed. And you know what? After that, it didn't bother me anymore. Well, that's not entirely true, okay? It still bothered me, but it bothered me a lot less. Owning who you really are, applying these 7 strategies, not all of them, apply the ones that work for you. These are the ways that you will begin to lean into who you really are, to become more authentic and to feel empowered in your role, and then to be able to take some joy in what you do and how well you do it, instead of focusing on all the wrong things. I hope that you found this video to be helpful in some way. Please feel free to give me some feedback in the comments, and go ahead and do the thing, like, subscribe, whatever. I would really appreciate it. It all helps with the algorithm. See you next time.